This is produced as part of the ongoing work on the website, thewaythetruthandthelife.net. It's Saturday morning, November 6th. I'm still in Russia, and I woke up this morning, listened to the BBC News about a couple of mosques being blown up in Pakistan, and I thought, well, that must be the Sunnis attacking the Shiites again, as they've done so much in the past. But that wasn't the case, and it helps show another reason why we need to help Muslims. They suffer so much. They suffer before non-Muslims suffer, and they suffer worse in this day and in the future because these conflicts exist. We need to know the truth and look at it, how to help. I'm doing my best to find the truth, like the last video I had on the ancient Qurans that they found in Yemen. You might look at that. But I'll show you clips from the video that I was able to find on the news. It wasn't on the Yahoo News. It wasn't on AP News. I don't understand why, but I was able to find it in Reuters. The last video was number 11 in the series, Muslims Too Need Help. I'll be back after showing a portion of the news video this morning on the bombings of the mosques in Pakistan.
The wounded arrive at a hospital in Peshawar. Victims of a second mosque attack in Pakistan are being treated in the hospital on a day when more than 70 people have been killed in two separate attacks on mosques. The second attack occurred at a mosque outside Peshawar.
It was an attack with hand grenades during evening prayers. 4 hand grenades were thrown from outside, and 4 people, including the imam, were killed, and 18 others were wounded.
Earlier, a suicide bomber demolished a mosque, killing at least 66 people. Witnesses said the bomber walked into the mosque's main hall and blew himself up. The dual attacks come after a relative lull in militant violence in Pakistan. Deborah Luderbeck, Reuters.
The murders were because the owners of the mosques supported the Pakistani government. Unbelievable. It's true Muslims following the true teaching of Muhammad, murdering other Muslims because they are not following the true teachings of Muhammad. And Muhammad taught to murder. He murdered himself because of that rationale that was used by the Jews to justify exterminating the polytheists that did human sacrifice to make a safe for a non-human sacrificing culture. The rationale was serving this God, one God, with the 10 Commandments where all were respected and they didn't respect it. So the only way to make a safe place for the new culture was to exterminate the old one. Polytheists that did human sacrifice. Well, this rationale for extermination was taken over by Muhammad as an opportunity to build a political, religious pyramid scheme, a theocracy, a totalitarian system of dominance where people are murdered if they don't behave, and they're murdered if they don't submit. And those who are part of it get rewards from it as it expands. That's a pyramid scheme, expanding by giving the valuable things of others, the women and the property and the treasures, as a reward for being part of the murdering pyramid scheme. How to help Muslims or other people involved in similar belief systems, but to look at the truth and expose it. As I watch this video in preparation, the second main point comes to mind, what Muhammad learned from the Jewish culture. after the Jews had exterminated the human sacrificing culture and displaced it, the way they preserved their belief system was to require the male children to memorize the Torah. That still goes on today. And it gave the Jewish the culture, the strength to survive being dispersed throughout the world. But it worked in Muhammad's day too. Remember, the Jews had already kept their culture for some 1,000 years before Muhammad learned about it. And he learned the other secret of the Jewish culture, to have the children memorize the laws. Memorize the culture. It robs them of individual sovereignty, but it projects into the future the belief system that they were taught to memorize as children. They only have the opportunity to rebel or comply because in early childhood their freedom has been lost. They would not know the difference between reality and what they were taught to memorize. Those inner voices are programmed. They are automatons. They are hypnotically controlled. The Jewish or any other group that memorizes as children. But Muhammad recognized this power of memorization. I want to insert another point here that Muhammad added. The Jews were first to memorize and had little independence, that they could rebel. They would just be rejected by their family. They didn't have the ability to see very clearly, but they were good thinkers. They were good at memorizing. They were good at book learning. Look at the socialist revolutions and communism, and you'll find many Jews behind it. They were not religious Jews. They were rebellious Jews, and they tried to make a better world and made a mess of it. But Muhammad went a step further. He made the death penalty for those who rebelled against the memorization. So they didn't have the freedom to rebel or comply. They only had the freedom to comply. So along with his pyramid scheme, using the rationale of serving God and being against polytheists to murder and dominate other people as you expand your kingdom, he knew that memorization was what would propagate this new culture of his pyramid scheme. And it goes on today. This is the terrible crime against humanity, that children are made to memorize. They have no choice. When you look at the children who are prepared to be suicide bombers, it's love of God or something like that in their eyes. They're so innocent and willing to sacrifice themselves to do good.
One of the campers, when asked if he wants to blow himself up as a suicide bomber, answers,
yes.
And they have no choice. Good and evil are permanently confused in their programming. It should be a law against requiring children to memorize. Children need to learn by discovery, by experience, by investigating, by their curiosity. And then later, the language to be able to articulate that. But don't rob them of the foundation by requiring memorization. So that's point number 2. The 2 things that Muhammad learned about the Jewish culture. You can exterminate polytheists, and you can perpetuate your culture by requiring memorization. So he used it to perpetuate a power structure. And the people are victims. How do we help them? Oh, I wanted to add here, the same pain I feel, the bombing of the Muslims in Chechnya, not far from where I'm at right now, that target the mosques there because they're not following. And they're murdering the officials. They're murdering imams that don't preach the domination, control, and women being stoned to death. I know there's a problem, an evolutionary problem, with women being abused and how their genetics has evolved to live with that over 1 million years of this abuse. That's a different matter. Maybe we can talk about it later. I personally am so thankful that a man named Jesus Christ lived and did away with the priests between me and my source of creation. In God I live and move and have my being. And I pray that I can find others that serve that same spirit of truth to try to make it a better world, to try to escape this solar system even before some tragedy happens, the miracle of life evolving to have a place stable enough for billions of years of evolution that we could find intelligence in God's body, and we're it. The best thing we can do is work to preserve it and spread it before the natural instability in God's body destroys this planet and this solar system. I don't know if this is the last video, but those are my thoughts for today. Thank you.
You know, I didn't come down into this world for picnics and ball games. I came here to enter into the abyss and to pin the devil against the wall. Serve your purpose and I'll serve mine. And if you feed off fear, there ain't no meal for you here. True love is tough love when you're dealing with a dark world, especially when most are ignorant of what's at stake. Touchy-feely love just ain't gonna cut it. Our task is to heal the broken who think they're whole. We're sensitive to vibrations of a lower kind. We feel the weight of the world all the time. We carry the pains most could not bear. And that's why agape love is here. I'm sure you know this world does not tolerate the light. And that's why those who shine most are always sacrificed. My brothers and sisters, we are not of this world. We will keep shining bright, for it's the reason we came. And it's the reason we must go. Love will overcome. It always has, and it always will. So if you're in the dark right now, prepare yourselves, because ready or not, here we come.